Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of the absolute cornerstones of decentralized finance, liquidity pools. Seriously, these things are the engine behind a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem, so let's get right into it and see how they really work.
So to really get a grip on liquidity pools, we've got to start with a really fundamental question. How do you even trade digital assets in a decentralized way? Without a bank, without a broker, without any central middleman. This was the huge problem that decentralized exchanges, or DEXs, were trying to solve right from the very beginning.
You see, the first DEXs tried to just copy the old-school playbook from traditional finance. They used what's called an order book to match buyers and sellers. But here's the problem. In a brand new, kind of small market, this just didn't work. It was like trying to hold an auction in a nearly empty room. Finding someone who wanted to buy exactly what you were selling for the price you wanted, right when you wanted, well, it was next to impossible. This made the market super illiquid, which means trades were painfully slow and just really inefficient.
So this whole illiquidity mess, well, it forced a really brilliant innovation that completely changed the game. The thought was, hey, instead of trying to match one person with another person, what if you could just trade against a giant collective pool of assets? And that right there is the core idea behind the liquidity pool. And here's the key idea. It's crowdsourced. A liquidity pool is basically just a big pot of tokens that users, people like you and me, have supplied. They're all locked together inside a smart contract. So you're no longer trading peer-to-peer, you're trading peer-to-protocol. It's a huge shift in thinking. Okay, so how does it actually work? Well, it breaks down into this really elegant three-player system. First, you've got the liquidity providers, or LPs. These are the users who deposit their tokens into the pool, usually in pairs. Second, you have the smart contract, which is like the automated robot manager of the whole operation. And third, you've got the traders, who can now come along and swap their tokens directly with that pool 24/7 whenever they want.
So what's the magic behind the curtain that makes all this tick? It's something called an automated market maker, or AMM for short. This is basically the brain. It's the algorithm that lives inside the smart contract. It's the decentralized price setter. It automatically figures out the exchange rate for any trade just by looking at the ratio of the two tokens in the pool.
And the logic behind many of these AMMs is actually surprisingly simple but super powerful. It's this constant product formula, often written as X times Y equals K. All you need to know is that this simple little equation is what makes sure the total value in the pool stays balanced, automatically adjusting the prices after every single trade. It's pretty brilliant.
Okay, so that brings up a big question, right? Why on earth would anyone lock up their valuable crypto in one of these pools? I mean, what's in it for them? Well, the whole system is built on a really clever set of incentives. Well, the people who provide the liquidity, the LPs, they're the real backbone of this whole system. And you better believe they get rewarded for it. Every time a trade happens in their pool, they earn a small piece of the trading fees. They also get these special LP tokens that are like a receipt for their share of the pool. And on top of that, a lot of platforms offer extra rewards through something called yield farming. It basically opens up market making, something that used to be just for huge banks, to absolutely anyone. And the ripple effects for the entire DeFi world? Oh, they're massive. Liquidity pools create markets that never sleep. They're always on, 24/7. Prices get discovered automatically and efficiently. For traders, it means less slippage, so the price you click is much closer to the price you actually get. And maybe most importantly, it lets brand new projects launch a token and create a market for it instantly, without needing anyone's permission. Okay, and this is a big but, this amazing innovation is not all sunshine and roses. There are some serious risks here. This is definitely not a set it and forget it kind of thing, and you absolutely have to understand the downsides before you even think about jumping in.
Probably the biggest and honestly the most confusing risk for a lot of people is something called impermanent loss. Let me try to break it down simply. Let's say you deposit two tokens. If the price of one of those tokens shoots way up or way down compared to the other, the AMM automatically rebalances your holdings for you. The risk is that when you go to withdraw your money, the total value could actually be less than if you had just held on to those original tokens in your wallet. It's the potential price you pay for providing liquidity.
And it's not just impermanent loss you have to worry about. There are other dangers lurking in the shadows. The smart contract code itself, that robot manager we talked about, could have a bug or an exploit that a hacker could use to drain all the funds. And then you have the outright scams where developers create a pool, get everyone to invest, and then just disappear with all the money. That's a rug pull.
And look, these risks aren't just theoretical. They have very, very real. Just to put a number on it, take the Anubis DAO rug pull back in 2021. Investors lost a jaw-dropping $60 million. The founders just pulled the plug, drained the entire liquidity pool, and vanished. It shows you just how catastrophic these things can be.
So with all that doom and gloom, you might be asking, how can I even navigate these waters safely? Well, it really just comes down to doing your homework and sticking to some basic best practices.
First off, stick to the big names, the well-known, established platforms that have had their code professionally audited by security experts. Second, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Never, ever put all your funds into a single pool or a single platform. Spread out that risk. And most importantly, always do your own research. Dig into the team, understand the project's goals, and look into its security before you even think about depositing a single cent.
So when you take a step back and look at the big picture, it becomes crystal clear that liquidity pools aren't just some neat feature. They are the absolute foundational backbone of DeFi. They're what makes everything else possible, from simple token swaps to really complex lending and borrowing systems. If you understand these, you really understand the heart of this whole financial revolution.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on. We've seen the power, we've seen the incentives, and we've definitely seen the risks. So, is this crowdsourced, automated, community-driven way of creating markets, is it the inevitable future for all of finance? Thank you for watching. If you got something from this, please like the video and support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button. That really helps us. Thanks again.